Well, I dreamed I saw the knights in armor come and saying something about a queen. There were peasants singing and drummers drumming, and then the archers split the trio. There was a fanfare rolling to the sun that was floating on the breeze. Look at Mother Nature on the run in the 1970s. Look at Mother Nature on the run in the 1970s. I was lying in a burned out basement with the full moon in my eyes. I was hoping for a replacement when the sun burst through the sky. There was a band playing in my head, and I felt like getting high. I was thinking about what a friend had said. I was hoping it wasn't I. Thinking about what a friend had said. I was hoping it wasn't I. Well, I dreamed I saw the silver spaceships flying in the yellow haze of the sun. There were children crying and colors flying all around the chosen ones. All in a dream, all in a dream, the loading had begun. Flying Mother Nature's silver seed to a new home in the sun. Flying Mother Nature's silver seed to a new home.
And so the universe blinked yet once again, as that lumbering beast still limped relentlessly along. Then perhaps the last surviving gun, word slinger, seemed to simply appear, having been summarily spit out from the space-time continuum. Surely 1,000 years and more after the latest and greatest in this seemingly endless series of nuclear holocausts fouled the beleaguered Earth. But yet, he still only does that which he's always only done. So he comes upon us thusly.
Hey now, friends, welcome to the dust dump. Welcome here. Welcome in. Oh, in for most definitely certain. All you saints and sinners seeking a way to put on the light. All you higher and lower leavings of the brightest and the dimmest. And all you in-between souls who've come real close to hear and know the truth, though they be anything but easy or self-evident. So, I am your bestest cousin, who, while being Brother Michael Long, came down on the white wolf's back to rail against the deadly darkness. But mayhap only to dance a little bit, twirling us in the pale moonlight, while casting down my meager pearls of wisdom as if before the learned swine. Me, who my familiars confuse with Zachary. But let's not head down that road. For my dearest dears, way up close and personal, this is the Wulfyre traveling show. Now, darlings, I shall make attempt to restrain and constrain myself only to what is writ here in the book, so as to be very most certain of getting the words out just exactly right and directly into your fair ears, so as to have the desired effect of helping you to relieve yourselves, even if that be only of your coinage. For I am simply come among you in the humblest and most simple of capacities, strictly here to call forth the magic, that being the magic of love, the last thing left unsullied by the vulgarities of this world, though now, of necessity, cloaked in one or more of its many mysterious defenses, or guises, if you like that better. So for that all of you very, very good people gathered round just here and now, wherever this time and place may be, as I was most surely caught up and no longer seem at all capable of remembering the particulars. And just lately, I've been running on faith, for what else can a poor boy do, as the venerable Clapton once crooned. But, anywho, anywhere, anyhow, since I have never claimed to have divined all of the answers, you will not tonight be subjected to a ritualized smiting by the we know all the answers, so let us tell you how to live your lives. Oh nay, my brothers and sisters, nor would I be the first to cast a stone among you, lest one come back this direction, because I do so love my addled head. Not to mention the occasional indulgences of the carnal pleasures, such as wine and eats and cigars. But just as we must most all need do, only to quiet the whispered whispers. For you know, you, my dearest and sweetest, that we're just going to converse a bit, speaking the words as trippingly off the tongue as I am able, to try, if I might, to possibly somehow open up the shutters just a bit wider, so to say, in order to let stream in a little more of the necessary sight to relieve you of your innermost fears, banishing monsters from under your beds to savor angels' hands over your heads. So how do you like me now? Because from the looks of you, it's sooner started, soonest done, before the wisdom might settle back in a little, so to speak. For you see, my children, je déteste le tar and feathers, oui? Oh, oui. Not to mention the greatest joy of not blinking out of a place until such time as I decide to go. So now, Yea, verily, it is said unto you, hindsight, blind sight. Thinkst thou seest, mayhap yea or nay, but only through a glass darkly. Foresight, poor sight, blind in the light, malice toward none, and all. Sane is always sane. To wit, to see any sight, giving over to knowing magic, thou might say. Ah, but therein lies the rub. We have been taught that it is better to pluck out the eye than to give offense. But methinks not. Perhaps better to train this vision. Doth protest too much as a silly, foolish mortal. For the import is crystal clear if thou wouldst but try. The eye of raptor sees, mayhap into the soul. Wouldst thou only focus, thou couldst see as well. The stick out of thine eye, and their sharpest vision. Light and dark thus balance. Ducking between shadows now thou might see. Ha! Above the ground is how you have been taught that everything must be. That is simply everything is ungrounded would be much more apt. For the former implies something grand or noble in scope, while the latter shows the real face of it very much more clearly. For there is absolutely nothing earned or warranted or worthy of any praise in many beginnings. And on the contrary, some are even mean and bitter and loathsome at their ending. And that 5 minutes that you see are just a fleeting glimpse which doesn't even faintly reflect the true nature of the beast. Oh, for sure. The good 5 are good while they last. And they light up the universe, but they burn out much too quickly for the effort required to rekindle them. Still, that time, even at its worst, is better than most will ever get to have. And isn't it such a very strange little concept in itself that you have to do the qualifying thing? So, it stands to reason that most of the bad days that you'll ever have will still be above the average. Though that isn't at all what you had in mind when you started these journeys way back when. In truth, I guess you'd say that you really didn't have any clues to go on. You just kind of looked around as you went and found what things might be made to do, and desperately held on to the ones that fitted your personal mosaic, while throwing out the others when they didn't work out. So, you ended up where you are mostly by remembering how you got here. So it isn't as much a sweat of the brows as it is a simple compromise to situations. Surely, combining the tiny bits and pieces to create something that never was before and never will be yet again for that matter. But that certainly couldn't be said to be for a lack of knowledge on the how to do. So, I'm going to tell you now that it's a desire to let the thing stand on its own and to perhaps celebrate it for its oneness. Or maybe it's really more of a simply just not wishing to clone the real article, since that could never be done successfully. It would just call for comparison. It's interesting, though, how distance tempers one's views, as one can almost convince oneself that anything is better than it actually is. Okay, so now what, you ask? What for the rest of the days and of the long string of years out there? Well, brothers and sisters, the answers don't always come so clean when many of the questions are so nasty. And not a one of you will ever get to skate by without having to sometimes hold the dirty end of the stick. So what is there for one to do? Go on taking steps along the path, as there is only one direction in which you're able to go anyway. No turning back to choose again, or redoing of the missed or messed stuff. For you're currently using all that you have in building new upon the old foundations. And at this point, there's also the not being sure it should or could be any other way. Because that if the very last 5 was pretty good compared to some, then maybe the next 5 might be pretty much okay too, huh? Anyway, what choice is there? For it's not like you'll ever get even a fleeting chance to change the rules as you go. For then how would you ever decide where the out-of-bounds line is? So, how could any two have gotten around to here, and for that matter, just exactly why would anyone? Well, for certain, not only by oneself all alone, but with each bound to the other by the choicest of ties, and perhaps not even necessarily of conscious processes. Certainly not has been said, sin in haste, then repent at leisure. For notice that the barbed wire appears very well embedded. And then, of course, you have to marvel that the beast grew so well while so leashed. So, let's propose that none protested or even noticed, except perhaps the one or more left behind in your wake and wondering, was it that you staggered into each other helplessly, not forgetting to take account of where you had begun, and there's always some definitive jump-off point. As truth has proven that the finest root stock thrives where a true graft occurs. So what if those choices then weren't the best of which one is capable, given certain unknown available resources? Well, Brother Michael tells you now that an awful lot of water must have passed over that damn dam. As how one is treated now certainly comes directly into play, plus or minus the ingrown value systems and sound judgments, as those depended upon the learning of taught lessons best illustrated by prime exhibits and examples of same. Of course, then, that forced one to then use one's mind to the fullest extent, for freely roaming the depths, breadths, and heights unknown, not shirking responsibilities. Better, perhaps, then, to measure ourselves through trials and tribulations than to simply settle complacently in another's box. For to have so done would be to never know our own truth. And truth, after all, my dears, is what defines the possible as well as the equally. For even if found lightweight and wanting at our ending, no doubt would be left as rejected functionability, as only sincere fools are the ones who fall while flying. So, then to be fully grown beyond traditional bounds, thereby becoming better whoever, whatever, however. As you see, there's really no value in not reinventing the wheel every day. For after all, nothing cleaves so cleanly as a virgin, unsullied blade. Perhaps then, it would serve better to become retooled and retrained at the key contact points to enable better sight of what works and just what doesn't do. Squat. Yes, I said it. Squat. For perhaps through differing eyes, there's omniscient vision, whether the old ones be blinded by masking or else denial. A bit of blood or even spit in might serve as clarification. Pardon me. It would seem, brothers and sisters, that in my zeal to begin tonight's little meeting, I have somehow inadvertently neglected to secure upon my person any of the properly required libation, or drink in the vernacular, in order to provide for the adequate lubrication of the speaking parts thereof. Or, watching another phraseology, my throat is dry, and I need wine or beer or even water. So I take a pause to remedy that situation. Damn, that wasn't a bit funny for you to make me almost choke to death out there in front of the audience like that. And what do you mean you quit now and you aren't participating in this sham anymore? That's just crazy talk. Now hold it right there a second. You aren't going to run the hell over me just because I don't get to use my own voice out there on the stage. Because this whole misguided Messiah trip show thing we're doing out there was your fault to begin with. Okay. While I won't even pretend to understand those feelings, I do know very well that yours are the words that I get to use. And those same words are all I have to give myself away, or to make a point, or to share the truth, or even earn us some kind of living for that matter. Well, good as far as that goes, but how you begged from and whined at me to feed you those lines over all these years. And still I get blamed when you screw up because somehow I'm just supposed to magically keep everything on script. Hey, that's just exactly what you signed on for way back when you reawakened inside of me. So get this straight. You don't own all the options or opinions, or have any unalienable rights for that bloody matter. This was supposed to be an us deal all the damned way. All the hell you say. It's not like it's my fault when a show goes badly. Because, hey, I'm just trying to make you come across like more than the broken down, washed up, cracker croaking snake oil salesman you were worked way back before we even realized I was sleeping inside of you. But that's just exactly my point. You're here specifically to create the words which make us sound so good out there. And since I can't do this show alone, you're just going to have to power through to the bitter end. And that is the end of this discussion. Now just hold on a damn minute. With that, I will make you do this load of crap. Because if you've still got enough brain cells left to understand, despite all of our wine swilling, professional pride in my art is why I still write for us, and not because somebody forces me to. Now, isn't that special? Well, where's your logical mind gone, huh? Because as viewed from your own exquisite judgment, I guess that old catchphrase has reared its ugly head again, which is, since I brought you into this world, I can damn sure take you out by my own decision. Well, is that so? Then come on and bring it, you prancing play actor. But hey, just don't push us too far, because remember this. Select all and then delete under the drop-down menu box would clear all the files and fix your damn little red wagon, and yours right along with it, my friend. You posturing wordsmith. So say whatever you will, because we both know you wouldn't dare leave me mute and with no show to do out there. Especially since we're not even sure where we are or how the hell we might have gotten here. Hey, if that misplacement thing is the best card you've got left to play, then just freaking all to dog and back. Because even if I did go half nuts and erase it all, we both know that you'd find some bloody way to finish this Wulfyre gig, no matter how badly it might then play. Yeah, well, true that. Because this show's the only damn thing we've got left, and so it must go on. And yeah, I probably would resort to bull fluffing alone until I found somebody else to key stuff into memory. So either step off or else take your best shot. Well. They always said fickle is as fickle does. So hey, just never the hell mind, okay? Because it seems that we've reached a draw by stalemate on this one anyway. And you're right that neither of us has even the slightest idea what to do to save them, let alone ourselves. Okay then. Guess we're both sold on the whole just leaving it alone concept. So now we'll simply move on as done without much lasting harm. Okay, Smarty, what's next? Because right now I ain't got nothing idea-wise. Well, dear, you do have that really pretty mouth, which I've always craved so very much to just cram full of my words. And you, my darling, have that even prettier mind, the one I've always lusted after getting even more from. Hellfire and brimstone. Somewhere, sometime, we must have done something really bad to deserve each other this much. But hey, I love you more than life. So take a little time to put yourself together, boy, and we'll just go back out there to do that voodoo that we do so well. Damn, that's a great phrase, which I'll be sure to use later on. So, okay, buddy, but from now on, we're agreed. Everything's a you go, we go, 50-50, all or nothing to well past forever deal. And yeah, I still love you more than life too. So just give me a few minutes to catch my breath and we'll go get them again. So, let us make a pact together, just right here and just right now, to perhaps leave those horrible things over which we have no control anyway, very much alone to just take care of themselves, however that may happen, giving us ever so much more free time in which to just go out or stay in to play at music and words and other fanciful arts. Oh, it wouldn't be that terribly difficult a thing for us to do, you know, my darling children. So, let's do a very careful letting go. Careful letting go of our misbegotten maybe responsibilities. You see, since we never were really that sure of exactly why we ever became so concerned with those people and their places and their things, perhaps that were not really problems to begin with. You see, if they only knew of our deepest worries and the cares that we've developed on that behalf, their laughter would surely just drown out our wailing at their injustice to us. But after all, maybe some of us would be better off not trying to be the self-appointed saviors of a world that doesn't need our particular brand of saving. We certainly ever wouldn't want the pressure that that kind of comparison would heap upon us. Besides, if we look back at what history says happened to him, not a one of us could handle the responsibility, could we? Brothers and sisters, love is not the be-all, end-all, save-all for which we might wish it to be. For in spite of, or perhaps in addition to our cover, there really is a reality out there. Lives change and dreams fail and some things just don't work as planned. So, you may not ever get all the way to where you intended to finish. But you know, if you look at it the way Brother Michael does, that's not really that big a deal when all is said and done. It's the act of having tried, my dears. That's what matters most at the end. Along the way, you will have touched many and been touched by them. Because you see, all reaction begins with a reaction, which in turn causes others. The love that we're talking about cannot end so long as one star which you passed remembers. Take my word on it. This pass through your universe is going to pass by many, so you're safe there. That which you'll do and say and be before you are done here is all that really matters anyway. It spreads, my dears, like dust in the wind and ends up in everybody's eye. So they can really see, my children. So they can really and finally see. This thing, this demon in velvet loves to be held inside a heaving chest, certain that it controls what? Something, someone, perhaps the object of affection. and little does it know about having its energy sapped, or cares of such things until it is much too late. Your cuz here has been everywhere in its weary head, and has even cooked crows in butter pie. Hands are only for doing the kind of magic after all, which involves swimming against tides. And etching stone only produces the smoother surfaces upon which to reflect and concentrate the magic. Ungrounded yet firmly planted, you can then writhe as lovers beneath the cloud sheets, even unto scorching terror itself. Coming around at last to understand the naked truth of this and other matters, perchance to do this new stuff in mythical proportions. And what then of those whom you've lost? How to move into a mode other than pause, or mayhap just to not. But history says you must, so it can be guessed that you will. After all, forever is not really that long. What of those whom you've lost? You see, moving on pretends to be normal, that pretense being what is required. Worry of those around you is lessened when you present the brave but fake face. And the best defense, my dears, are done by the world's true mimes. Grease paint, after all, being what living is all about. Those whom you've lost. They're on display every single day because you see, dears, mannequins hold up so well in the light, though the non-blinking thing has a tendency to give them away. But isn't it surprising how many mannequins one encounters on a simple walk across the showroom floor? Whom you've lost. Not so much lost as just deactivated, because it hurts a hell of a lot less when numbness grows. But if you dim down the lights to a glow, there's still yet enough sight to always see how it goes, isn't there? Brothers and sisters, you have been warned that there are writers. Shine down a lighters. Enable a little more sighters. You have been warned that there are speakers, real truth seekers. Better take a peekers. Brothers and sisters, you have been warned that there are singers, something for you bringers. Draw attention by stingers. You have been warned that there are players. There are settled in and stayers. They are show you another wayers. Brothers and sisters, you have been warned that there are dancers. Make a little romancers. Why not take a stancers? You have been warned that there are performers, cannot be conformers, another way reformers. You have been warned. There are coulders. There are anyone who thinks woulders. Know that you really coulders. But my children, you were never warned that these are artists who make life worth living. For that has been left for you to decide all alone. And so, what can be said of magic? The magic of love. Choosing to believe it not leaves you stranded in the shadowed wasteland, while giving over to belief bathes you in love light. Options on that, huh? Nope. Not Brother Michael, because love I the glow too much. Now listen, children, for just as you simply have to agree that we've surely become increasingly more intimate during this evening's progression, know too that we have now reached the time for confession, and perhaps even of absolution. Oh dears, no. Only ours, that is, because we never require that of you, as those are matters most kept strictly between you and your own hearts. But in the interest of finding the truth, our final veil must be parted to expose the last real core of self, for you all to see us plain for what we truly are, in order that you will better know the intense depth of feelings surrounding the lasting import of what's been shared here tonight, and also of our great, great love toward each and every one of you truly special, special people who have only gathered to us expecting to receive a little something. And oh, you shall. Oh, you shall. Sitting on the beach in a summer sunset, now here only in tow, while they've come to clear my old man's stuff, who'd lied, saying he'd see me soon, just a couple of months before he passed. Wish I'd known he'd already made the decision not to stay. I doubt that I could have come up with some way to change his or heal his broken heart anyway, but maybe I would have paid more attention to the real and neat things he so often said. Now, I've got to move up beach a little to save my little papers from the new tide, which I hadn't noticed until today that life and love and magic are just like that. By coming and going seemingly at will to take in or else to wash away what it may. Oh, but don't pout that I'm pleading that it's perhaps taken much more than it's brought thus far. As I'll get by and be much better too. That's as soon as I can begin to start to manage it all. Mostly, though, it's the nightmare of the wolves that I just can't get by now. They come each night the last few, and yet still they haven't ever actually
taken me. But the two of them are out there, stalking the same field time after time, yapping at my heels as if to let me know they could just take me whenever, but haven't. Just sort of running along and kind of play growling, only to shake my nerve and wit even more. Now, fast forward a ways, either up or down the beach, to another very distant sunset on very different sand. But the very same sunset yet again. This time shutting down the leftovers of a life left wallowing in the wake of this turn's dear one. Oh, I couldn't blame her for not knowing that this was a battle she just couldn't win. It's as if some other power had already made the decision in her stead. Like they ran out of good enough reasons for her to stay here rather than to go on to wherever. Different papers to shift up beach to save from the incoming of the same old tide. And the magic itself has grown with these many quick years. The ebb and flow tidal powers. Much time spent giving and getting and sharing it all. Yet still without satisfactory results or explanations. But no more pouting about the losses, though it's still the same. The learning to grow and change and adapt has finally allowed me to stare boldly straight ahead at what might be out there. For now, though, I've still got both these wolves, though not in the nightmares anymore, but in very lovely technicolor dreams, as Zachary and Tristan have come to protect rather than harass. Well, at least since that time that I yelled at them to just cut it out once I got the name and remembered. So they just run right into Sandberg's old house with me whenever we come in from play, and that Zachary's become my truest companion. Well, most often the other just goes on his way, perhaps having served his purpose. Yet one more blink, ahead or else behind the journey, leads to the most current of myself. And still again, the same sunset, but over sands from all the beaches on which we've so far set. Now beginning yet another rewritten chapter of living out just exactly how it must go. But this time, setting each and every tiny detail down by my own hand, so that those still coming along the path have something yet to follow. Bagpipes, fireworks, those heralded the true Queen's return to rule over my universe again. And she and I have decided by mutual agreement that no one checks out early this trip through the stars. And yet once more, there is a big saving of the papers up beach from the relentless and tideless tides. This journey through the magic having shown me in exquisite minutiae just what the Feast of Life is really all about. And it all evens out and it works as it should if we can just manage to leave it alone until the tapestry weaves itself tight. Meaning to be is what matters and makes the difference in what we see when we are here. Far better to have seen it all and to exercise the options than to just have sat contentedly and stupidly in the mud. And as for Zachary, well, he literally mocked us with his brand a while back, so as just to help us remember that he's grown into this astoundingly mature individual, as well as have we. Now out there so very far from that Wile E. Coyote cartoon model. And most recently, he bet his heart and mine on showing that there's deadly seriousness in the lessons he's taught on life and even on the fine art of losing well. Though learning to be still is always the hardest for us, as we strive to do as he shows each and every day. But his promise of the Wulfyre to always light our way along the path gives us pause. Gives us pause. So, brothers and sisters, those who hear not the music must think the dance is mad. But marvelous sounds in our heads will they drive us whirling upon the earth. And so long as we are spinning, none dares interrupt these steps. So hold tight the embrace as we go, whether we be vertical or lying down. Because all isn't too much to ask for, while right here, right now. But they won't begin to understand the patterns until they have been inside. So for today, it is just we few who are spinning as fast as we can. You see, this slow dance had led to others which came as we were prepared. But we did this jig once before, it seems, long ago on a faraway shore with the bonfire burning to show our way. We ducked between shadow and light and crossing the bridges looking for the trolls until the experience was spent. And still, my brothers and sisters, the music never ends. But wait now, my very most loved ones. Gather in quick and listen close. For while sharing those last few thoughts, I happened to glance skyward, or at least up into the heavens. And I'm sure you must have noticed the dramatic effect that created. But brothers and sisters, what I saw there gave me every reason to shake, for I have seen the great storm, which is now taking aim to come bearing down on us. And while it is yet out there away, we must most assuredly know that it is coming too soon. Now, we all love the good storms because they clear the air, both literally and figuratively. But this, my darlings, is a bad one. So, it's nigh unto time to scatter, to duck and cover your heads. And so my scant time among you draws down short. For once again, I have been foiled at getting to decide just when to take my leave. And I do so abhor a schedule. Even so, brothers and sisters, we must start to commence, to begin, to unfurl the tarps and to cinch them down tightly here where the roads do mark with their crossing our simple little truth meeting. So now, hurry yourselves on along to go and do that and prepare for what comes. As I softly curse perceived reality. Yet again, really? Me, just this one wussy poet, expected to stand against the gale and of love's magic be the sole defender. Me, who have no weaponry devices, but this unsharpened pen and a remanufactured heart, yet ordained to spit into the face of yonder beast, which generates such criticism and surely whisk away any shred of validation, except for what small parcels I may savor unto myself. But if that be the final lot drawn for me again this turn, then anon once more into the breach. I'll try to defend the romantic realm. But alas, I cannot begin to save them, much less ourselves. Now only helplessly hoping that it will be enough to simply hoist high the banner. And so, dear brothers and sisters, do now bend upon a knee and join in benediction here in this quiet place we own, where worlds have been born. And I would voice fondest hopes that you may depart from these events with something real to take away and hidden deep within yourselves. So I bless and beseech you, with destiny being my deliverance, to go and take leave, to flee from this very spot, quickly as you may be so able, as there is no longer anything here for you to be had of me. As we have wholly and utterly run the voodoo down. Oh wait. Lingering just long enough, if you will, for mine is but a hungry coffer waiting to be fed.
only as you are led, of course, as I've never been one known to coerce. Oh, not me. Brother Long's Wulfyre Traveling Show wishes you long days and pleasant nights. In truth, twice the number, and prays that you have been helped more than you've been hindered. Hey, the stars are fixed, at least until they fade away. So, with my hands in my pockets and mud upon my boots, I'll simply turn from you and walk away. For I've offered you all the comfort that I have to give. So, how do you like me now? Just how do you like me now? So, until we may chance meet in the clearing at the end of the path, enter life from darkness, then exit into light. Whatever happens in between is because of magic. Oh, many pass by blindly while others see all. The only difference, my children, is what you look for while you are